So, I haven't made a video in a while, but I wanted to highlight this deck that is so diverse, that does so many different fun things, and really has a way of winning and keeping you alive, recovering. Alright, so the big part about it is the brilliant restoration and it bringing back all artifacts and enchantments from my graveyard to the battlefield. Okay. Well, Pyromancer's Goggles will be one of those, who will also have the activators to hit on the Brilliant Restorations. And then recently I just added the Invoke Justice. Pick one of the first four creature or support cards from your graveyard, move that card to play. Under your control, then, your creature with the lowest power gets +1/+1. So those are the two spells, which I could use an Invoke Justice to bring a Goggles back, which is nice to set the stage for non-stop spells from the activators. Or the Invoke Justice will be good for the Angel of Suffering, who tends to get in a lot of combat and dies. Well, you'll be able to bring it back pretty often. Or the Bone Miser. And the Bone Miser is a highlight of this deck because of the Necro duality. When a non-token zombie creature enters the battlefield under your control, reinforce that creature X times. X is this support's shield. Well, a really awesome combo that I like is this Stronghold Arena. At the bottom here it says when a creature you control deals combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, you may pick one of the first two cards from your library. If you do, fetch that card, it gains 3 mana. You lose life equal to that card's mana value. Well, the Angel of Suffering, when you lose life, you gain that much life back and destroy that many cards from the top of your library into your graveyard. So let's say I picked Pyromancer's Goggles when I do that, when I attack with my first creature. There's 21 cards that are going to go into my graveyard. That is just going to fuel that Brilliant Restoration and even the Invoke Justice to get the Bone Misers. And what's great about these is when this card is moved to the battlefield or to your graveyard, your opponent discards the last card that can be discarded from their hand. So, as I'm dumping tons of cards, all these Bone Misers that go into the graveyard will force my opponent to discard stuff. And then also the Prayer of Binding. When the support enters the board, exile an opposing card at random. That card gains a bind emblem. You gain 4 life. When this is destroyed, return the exiled card with the bind emblem to your opponent's exile's hand. I can't talk right now. It gains full mana. Well, there'll be tons of prayers of binding in the graveyard that you're pulling back left and right with the Brilliant Restoration to just exile all of your opponent's stuff and recover your life total. Now, the Maestro's Ascendancy is great here because at the beginning of your turn, you may have target creature you control gain imminent death. If you do, pick one of the first 4 spell cards from your graveyard, exile that card, then create a copy of that card in your hand. It gains full mana. So every turn, since I'll have a lot of Bone Miser reinforcements from Necro Duality or the Rieto Sentinel, when this creature enters the battlefield, destroy the top 3 cards of target player's library, which will always be mine. He's an artifact, so he gets to come back. All of the copies of him get to come back with this Brilliant Restoration, and every time they do, I get to put 3 more cards in my graveyard. And there tends to be a fair amount of reinforcements, so the Maestro's Ascendancy I could tag onto him, so I could then drop one of the Sentinels back in the graveyard every time if I wanted. Or one reinforcement of the Bone Miser. I guess that's not technically a whole card of him going to the graveyard, but I do believe that if, like, I have 6 of these Sentinels that came from the graveyard and it loses a reinforcement, those were actual, like, real creatures that stacked, so I think one would go to the grave. But, um, it's an awesome deck that I use with our new Daxos, I believe his name is, or Dakkon. That's right, Dakkon. Where his first ability surveys or surveils 4 into the graveyard, and you gain life, deal damage, gain loyalty. But you basically just want to spam that with this deck. And it's going to fill your graveyard for when you get your first Brilliant Restoration, or for when you get your Invoke Justice, and you want to try to aim for that Pyromancer's Goggles to get on the board as soon as possible. Another good thing to start with would be Angel of Suffering with that Stronghold, so you can start dumping cards really quickly too. But we don't have the Stronghold yet, so this looks like a good order. We'll dump some stuff with the Sentinel, and then pull something back with the Justice. Here we go. Here's a free turn. Alright. I want to get some loyalty. This is a good match. Oh, beautiful. I'm going to drop 3 in there. Oh, and 2 of them were Bone Misers. I got to bring one back right now without the Necro Duality. That kind of sucks, but okay. Or actually, I can say not now. Yeah, I can hold off until we get a couple more cards in the grave, maybe, for the Invoke Justice, like the Goggles. I don't need to hit those activators. That'll just exile the first card from your opponent's graveyard, which is decent lately because there's a lot of stuff that is being used from the graveyard. I could make green fall into red, or yeah, I'm gonna do that. Get a couple more loyalty hits. Okay, and we got the Stronghold. All right. Okay, I guess we'll grab one. Yeah. No. I mean, our opponent has a card we could make him discard. I don't know what it is, but we'll just hold off for a second. Want to get those Goggles in the graveyard. If we can. Nope. We will go ahead and make a Brilliant Restoration the next card we draw, for when we do manage to drop the Goggles from likely first ability, or whatever else of ways we have to get stuff in the grave. Which is quite a few, actually. Okay. Alright. Oh, I guess it's going to be one of the first 4, so we can't even do the Goggles yet. Do I want... yeah, alright. Ooh, I probably could have just went with the Sentinel, but no, because the Brilliant Restoration can bring all of them back. You kind of want to use those Invoke Justices for your 2 other creatures. And let's get this 18 cards into my graveyard. Made him discard 1 because at least 1 was a Bone Miser. There could have been 4 of them. Could have been 6, and my opponent would have discarded their whole hand, which is a really cool thing about this deck. Alright, so I'm guessing there might be a Goggles in there now. But usually I want to drop everything into my grave, even Bone Misers and the Angel. Like, just about everything, except maybe the Invoke Justice or Brilliant Restoration. Because as soon as I do 1 Brilliant, I'm going to get so much back. And the one big thing is stacking these Necro Dualities, because that's going to make the Bone Misers, when they come in, massive. We want to get... yeah, we need big mana here now, so we can get this Brilliant Restoration running. Go like that. Ooh, gave them a free turn, though. But, alright. And I probably should have gotten rid of 1 card in my hand, so I could have used this Stronghold ability 3 times with my 3 creatures attack. Oh, I can. Okay, perfect. And we will, I guess, throw a Bone Miser in the grave. Because when you do that, whatever card you don't pick is definitely going to the grave after. because it's a part of the ones that the angel puts in there. Alright, so we just need 1 mana. What's that? Okay, we're gonna keep this in the order it is in then. Yup. And we'll go down here, red to black. Beautiful. And I'm going to want to take all of those little gargoyles. You got to watch for this because you want to say no. I mean, unless you do want to do the kicker for that stronghold, you're going to be clicking no a lot right here until you see your creatures attack. Then it's yes, as long as the angel is out, because that's when you'll take damage, regain the life, and destroy the cards from your grave. Okay. So we're gaining 4 life left and right from the binding enchantment that we got that exiles something randomly. And if you can tell, I think it's that blue support there. It's got 16 shields. So any Bone Miser that comes in right now would be reinforced 16 times. Yeah, we'll grab these Justices. And hopefully we can drop a Bone Miser next turn, and that's game over. We will go ahead and do... Oh, I can't even get the spell because my hand's full. That sucks. Yeah, we'll get rid of that one. We don't need it. Let's try for 2 Bone Misers. Do we have any good mana? Can't hit the activators. I could exile one of my own creatures. I could exile the Bone Miser that's out there and hope that I, with this ability, convert some gems to really get a lot of mana. And maybe hit an activator. All right, let me get rid of this. I guess I'll do it. Just because. Yep, boom. Oh, we didn't get the activator for the goggles, though. But there it is. Okay. Now, might as well drop him and that. And then we can do the Brilliant Restoration to get more Necro Dualities out. Then we'll invoke the Justice twice for hopefully some Bone Misers if we can hit on both. Is this another Goggles? No. But we'll just go with it. Get rid of one of his cards in his grave so we don't get to use it for nothing. Okay. Not now. This will probably be a lot of not nows. Look at all them twinkles. The whole board and filling them supports are getting huge shields too, which is something to consider maybe for another card that benefits off of that. But I think the deck is so tightly built that there's not room for any substitute cards. I do want to try the Cruelty of Gix from the new set, the Saga, that I don't have yet, that I'm gunning for the most right now, as an enchantment that will make my opponent discard a card with the first chapter. Then I get to fetch a card and lose 6 life, which will help with the Angel of Suffering to fill my grave. And then I get to pick a creature or Vanguard from any graveyard and put it into play, which was going to be what I was going to use aside from Invoke Justice. So my spell could simply be the Brilliant Restoration, and I could perhaps return a bunch of creatures with 1 Brilliant Restoration because of how many Cruelties of Gix I get on the 3rd chapter that stack up in a single turn. That would be cool. Let's see here. Boom. See, 21 cards to the graveyard. This deck does so much, you know, like I'm taking damage, I'm gaining life, I'm destroying my library. I could be destroying my opponents with this little gargoyle down here if I wanted. I'm losing reinforcements, potentially destroying a creature if it didn't have any, for if I wanted to meet that objective. Um, we're good to go. As you see, the Bone Miser has 81 reinforcements. And then, I'm hitting activators, and I could exile so many of my opponent's things and gain so much life. I don't know if I already said that. But there's just so much going on here. I love this deck. It's perfect with this Planeswalker. Dakkon's first ability is amazing and so much fun to utilize. Um, all right, let's just see if we can't hit. Let's see, what are these activators? Do we really want to spend the time doing that? We don't have to. I think you get the gist of it. You've seen it. So we'll just go ahead and maybe pull for another Bone Miser if we can. Yeah. Just get them all big like. See, discarded another card. Yeah, that's another quality. You can make your opponent discard so many cards as you're dumping all those Bone Misers and casting them if you can, or resurrecting them with the Invoke Justice. It's difficult for the opponent to really be able to do anything. Like anything they do, the Prayer of Binding is going to exile, or my little gargoyle could block, or the angel will berserk on, or, and meanwhile, I'm bringing all my dudes back to life, like constantly. And it's powerful. It's fun. You guys should give it a shot once you get all the cards. All right, this is Endbringer signing out.